Oh boy, are we on a fast track to a quick change in our marketplace to where buyers are really going to start negotiating extremely hard and winning on the purchase price, and winning on concessions, and winning on repairs, just winning all the way around. I really do think there's a good chance of this happening sooner than later. I always try to keep an eye on the market and kind of look at just key indicators. Real estate's always done in the rear, so we usually don't know, what like last month was for 30 to 40 days. But there's been definitely some key things that I've seen over the last really 60 to 90 days. Mainly just been inventory jumping up, which is expected. I don't want to say inventory jumping up is expected. It's because usually the buyers are also coming to the market ready to go after tax season, ready to go. But man, inventory just went up rapidly. I want to try to get some exact stats somewhere for you guys and share it. But I have been noticing, I remember it was in the low 5,000s, and now I just looked before this call, and we're basically at 6,500 homes, which is, again, you're back to pre-COVID numbers here, and more inventory means more options for buyers. It also means more competition for sellers. So that's not great for sellers, but it is great for buyers. I feel like we've been kind of in a very weird market the last 2 years, where it's been, there's pockets where it's a buyer's market, there's pockets where it's a seller's market, but overall, it's really, I'll say a very standard, nobody's like just always winning. Sometimes the sellers are winning, sometimes the buyers are winning, even with the high interest rates, and I think that's probably been pretty shocking to a lot of people, but now, all of a sudden, inventory really starts jumping. I do think buyers are really going to start winning on some purchase price. So buyers have really been winning the negotiation of a contract for the last year or two. And what I mean by that is, getting a significant amount of repairs, getting a significant amount of closing costs there, but, not much was being reflected in the purchase price. Houses listed for 300, sold for 300, but what you didn't see on the back end was that seller also paid, $10,000 towards buyer's closing cost. They also paid for a home warranty. They also did, $1,500 of repairs. So sure, the purchase price still reflected the $300,000, but that seller's walkaway was significantly less than that. Which is kind of what you see, median sales price and average sales price is still rising. And it's still rising. I did a video on this, I don't know, maybe a year ago. Geez, time flies. Where I was talking about, how sales are down and everything, but the median sales price keeps going up. And it's because our inventory, we only have like maybe 15% of our total inventory is below the median sales price. So that's the only 15% of any of the sales is going to bring that price down, whereas the other 85%, anytime it sells, of course it's going to increase it. So the data really doesn't reflect that the market's great and the market's going up. Another thing to keep in mind is, man, that days on market just skyrocketed. I posted a stat the other day where it was, I think days on market in March of 24 was like 23 days, and days on market of March of 25 was 39 days, which I can tell you just by inventory going up that has to increase already to 40 plus days, which is, for sellers, what that means is your average time on market before you get a contract is 40 days. The days of getting your home under contract in the first couple days or week, especially if you don't price that thing correctly, it's pretty much long gone. Again, certain areas, certain price points, certain pockets, always different, because you can always look at real estate from a micro and a macro level to really, find different niches. But to kind of group East Tennessee together, another thing is what's really difficult to negotiate. I'll say really difficult to negotiate. We've been kind of doing it for a while, but is the fall through rates, right? We get an accepted contract, we get the terms agreed up front, inspection come in. All right, I'm back. So, you know, we get it agreed up front, and it comes back, and there's a significant amount of repairs. You know, and the seller's kind of, well, I've already agreed to lower the price, you know, $5,000, $10,000. I don't want to do anything. Well, it's kind of like what the market is having you. You know, your home's been on the market for 40 days, so of course you got to lower it, you know, to probably get a deal. Nobody's going to come in 40 days and give you full asking price. You know, your first couple days on the market right now is all the power you have as a seller, and after about 3 to 5 days, as a seller, you don't have much power at all. It's going to shift, and you're going to start getting hit. I mean, I see new listings already getting hit, you know, 10,000 off, 10,000 in closing costs on day one. And, you know, sellers like, no, I ain't doing that. Well, that buyer's moving on quick. They're moving to another one, and then, you know, 7 days later, seller's like, all right, I'll go back to them, take that offer, and you go back to that buyer, and they're already under contract, right? Because another seller who did the exact same thing you did is kind of humbled, and they're coming back, and all right, we'll take 10,000 less and move on. So, you know, the fall through rate being that is, you know, you only, as a seller, you only have like a 66% chance of your contract that just happened in 40 days actually closing. So, I mean, that's not a whole lot more than a coin flip. So, you know, you got to be willing to negotiate with these buyers. You know, they're going to move on to the next home. They're going to find a motivated seller. I've seen it. I've seen my, you know, sellers take that I'm working with take less than what I would have thought they would have taken. I have seen, you know, my buyers, we put in offers thinking there's no chance and get it accepted. So I see both sides of it there. But, yeah, there's some interesting stats to come out. You know, I think we'll be able to look back on April, you know, here in 45 days, 60 days, and be like, man, you know, that's some interesting, what a shift that we're really starting to see. And I think just the total amount of, not only is home prices selling less than list price now by several percentage points, which again, you start getting up into the you know, 300, 400, 500,000 price range, and homes are selling at, you know, 96, 95% list of value. I mean, you're talking, you know, 15, 25,000 bucks less, and that's still not counting closing costs. That's still not counting the commissions. That's still not counting any of the repairs that they've done. So interesting things going on in the market. You know, don't really have an update as far as interest rates. None of it makes any sense to me at this point. It's just no point in me giving my opinion. It's just, you know, I've seen it. It's like it was getting low, and every time it gets low, and it starts getting around like 6.5, a little bit lower than that, and like something happens and it jumps up a quarter of a point, then jumps up another quarter point, and we hit 7, then we kind of trickle back down. So I don't know enough on how that crap works, but I can tell you, if you can get an interest rate around 6.5 or lower from a lender, and you're an active buyer, tell them you want to lock that in. Because I've seen literally so many contracts where our buyers were locked in at something low 6s, rates jumped up to like 7, you know, within that contract, and boy, did they get lucky. You know, talking $100 a month difference in payments in those interest rates. Changes there. But I really do think potentially, well, I can't say I really do think potentially, that kind of contradicts stuff. I really do think we're going to a buyer's market here. So, and I think it's probably still a couple months away until it's really obvious. But I think for agents, they're going to start seeing it more. We're going to start seeing, you know, much more buyers being like, well, hey, and I just did this one yesterday where it's like, hey, we offered on this one. If they take it, great. It's much less. If not, we're going to move on and offer on this other one. So that's what my buyers are doing. Well, that particular buyer. So sellers can expect some crazy stuff coming up. But as always, if you have questions, holler anytime.